We are live. We are live, and we're
Hey,
probably the
people.
only two here. No, I think we're the only two here.
That's
But you
fine.
know what? We'll give people some time to get on in. Say hello. There's a lot of people live right now because of the corona still out there.
Yep.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Just got to deal with it. Oh, and I am listening to myself because I do that every time. See, I do that because my computer sucks. So I type on my phone messages
Mhm.
instead of here because I'm scared it's going to freeze up. But you see, I upgraded. So let's see what the overlays will look like. I want to throw an overlay. I'm like playing like a kid. The
Oh,
Eerie.
cool.
Yeah, I can use
You're
it as a background
fancy.
too. Yeah, no big whoop. No big whoop. Yeah, it's just how I roll. Just how I roll. But we are live and we'll
Okay.
get into it. People can watch this on replay.
Yep.
This is Sporky News Podcast Wednesday Night Book Club. This is a stream by the inn. Stream by the inn. A stream by the Crossroads. And we are Smooth Jam California. Thank you for showing up. You are our first person. So you could throw in number. Oh no, Stig Kenobi was our first person.
Stig.
Stig. Nice. Our brother in arms, swinging by to drop a like and all. Can't talk much. Dentist shit earlier. Jaw is still stiff. Oh,
Ouch.
sorry to hear that, brother. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. Ibuprofen helps. And then we got Smooth Jam California in Thor voice. Bring me Stannis. I like it. I like it. So we are going over. My phone is doing something funky, so I'm just going to turn it that way. We're going over chapter 34 and through chapter 36 of A Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
This is a loose, non-scripted live stream. More or less, we talk about the summary, which we usually get off of Westeros.org, and we discuss what we remember about the first time we read it. We try not to spoil anything past Game of Thrones. So a couple of these chapters we're reading tonight, I didn't realize have so much foreshadowing. Mostly the Catelyn chapter. I don't know about you, but let me first introduce you. This is my good friend Jayne Theory.
Hey, guys.
Go ahead.
How's it going? That's it.
Woohoo! That's it. That's all we got. There's only two of us, so we can't really do the whole bounce off everybody. Now, did you get anything? Did you reread? Just summary, do like a little check this, check that, watch something. What did you do?
Yeah, I listened to all 3 chapters again just to remind myself of what was going on and was surprised at how good they were. And I know we say that every week, that
Right.
this is an amazing chapter. And it is.
Right.
I mean, he writes incredibly well, and there's so much in each chapter. There's actually something I discovered this time that I did not know when I read it the first time. So that will come up in our discussion.
Oh, I like how you laid that out there for later. That's nice. There are there is maybe like 3 things that came up that I was like, holy crap. I 2 times read it and I still didn't. Now, I have to say I didn't read it the second time I read it before Dance of Dragons came out. So I picked up a couple things that I think I just didn't pop into my head until I read it this time. So that was pretty cool. I'm really enjoying the reread. I know Stig has been in Miss Martin Muse and Lady Toriel. Sorry, I am horrible and I don't mean any disrespect. But they have been diving into the work and watching and listening to them read it for the first time. I don't know about you, but it's been like one of my pleasures about this stream. Because they say things and I'm like, holy shit, that's a great way of thinking about it.
Right. And it's always fun to see new readers discover this story, especially, coming off of all the disappointment from the show.
Yes.
It's easy to become very jaded about the whole thing and just the series as a whole and just throw the whole thing away, basically.
Right.
But seeing new people both watch the early episodes and read the book,
right,
it makes you feel good about it again.
Right. And we have one, Miss Martin Muse only read the book, or I'm sorry, watched the show. And Lady Toriel, I don't know why I do that. She's never seen the show. She's never read the book. So it's made me want to read it in a different way, like trying to go into it like as much as I can without any bias.
Right.
And I still find I've heard some people say like after the second or third read, they understand Catelyn more. I still can't stand her.
I hate her.
Oh, even more now than I did before.
Yeah, actually, every new chapter.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
stand her
There's a couple
anymore.
things I'm going to point out when we get there. I
Oh,
think you're reading the Catelyn chapter, right?
no,
No, you're
thank
not. You're
God
reading the Ned
not.
chapter.
Right.
That's right. I got Cat. Okay. And then we have a Danny chapter to finish off the night, which I think is fantastic. She's almost done with book 2. Holy
Wow.
cripe. She takes notes, like both of them feverishly notes. Like it's unbelievable. Another monster. Hail to you, my man. Sorry, Stig isn't here, but he is here in spirit and in the chat. So Darren, like my father before me, good evening, my friend. And then at Stig Kenobi, why aren't you on the stream today, Stig? That's his business. Okay. Another monster. It's his business. And if you scroll up in the chat a little further, you'll know why. But I'm glad you guys made it. I'm glad another monster isn't working. So we're going to get into it.
Yep.
Let's take a look at.
Wait, look at another monster's last comment.
What did he put? Let's see. At Sporky News, at Jayne Theory, they understand that Cat is a stupid bitch. And
exactly.
I can't deny you on that. I really tried this time not to go into it thinking she was. And I have to say the actress in the show gave me moments where I didn't hate her as much, but just like Cersei, they're horrible in the book.
Terrible.
I mean, we're going to read it. I think it's in your chapter a little bit about Cersei, and you're just like, wow, she is terrible.
Yes.
Terrible.
But there's also something that comes up in my chapter that is just, it's devastating effect of the foolishness that this woman caused.
Right.
So I hate her more than ever right now.
Exactly. When you were, now you re-listened to him, was it Audible or was it
it was someone reading in the chapter,
something like that? Okay. What do you feel, because I haven't done very much book, like audio type book things. Do you like, what's the difference? What do you get differently from reading, and what do you get differently from the audio?
Well, when I read it, of course you hear everything in your own version of their voices. And then you see the characters on the show and you sort of begin to hear things in their voices.
Yeah.
But hearing someone else entirely different read it adds, depending on how they read it, you actually can pick up on little things that you didn't notice before that they emphasize.
Okay.
And that's what happened this time around.
Oh, so the reader. Okay.
Yeah, he emphasized something that did not stick out in my mind the first time I read it, and it's not in the show.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, dang.
Wow.
I did not pick that up.
Oh, we'll have to get there. Yeah. All right. Well, let's start this off then. And the Time Prophet, thank you for stopping in. Guys, remember, YouTube doesn't like me that much. So please like, share, and subscribe. Liking really helps me out. We don't have a lot of guys in here yet, but if we can get it to maybe 20 by the end of the show, I'd be happy. Let's go. So the first chapter summary, and like I said before, we start off and I read. Usually what I'll do is I actually just read it. So we go to Westeros.org, respect to those guys, and we read their summary, which, if you're going to read anybody's summary, those are the people that have worked with George. I'm going to read their summary. So just to help you guys refresh, we'll do that. So hold on one second, because there's so many ads on this one. I don't know why. All right. So this is Catelyn 6, I believe. And here we go. Catelyn and her party finally reach the Bloody Gate and safety. At her sister's request, Catelyn makes the dangerous night ascent to meet Lisa, and her son Robert. Right. So here we go. As they approach the bloody gates, Sir Dustin Wayne Wood. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. Let me grab my glasses. So Dustin Wayne Wood tells Catelyn that she should have sent word before coming because the was safe. Catelyn replies that they learned that to their own sorrow, reflecting on the men who died to bring her far. Three, the first attack, and I think it's Lairs and Chigan in the second attack, and Morek of a festering wound. Only Sir Roderick, Bronn, Marlon, Sir Willis Woad, Tyrion Lannister, and Catelyn herself remain. They had been sure they were all doomed when Waywood's men approached. Sir Donald goes on to explain that since Jon Arryn's death, the Vale Mountain clans have grown bolder, and Lady Lisa has forbade sending men out to fight them, though no one is sure why. Catelyn chooses not to mention that it is Lannisters her sister fears. Looking back at Tyrion, Catelyn notes the dwarf's confidence in the presence of a large party of men sworn to House Arryn, and wondering again if she is wrong to suspect him. She is also unsettled by the cunning of the man. Although he remains her prisoner, the dwarf now rides freely, armed with a dirk and an axe, and wearing the shadow skin cloak he won gambling with Marlon. Catelyn asks Sir Donald to send the Maester Coleman when they arrive to treat a badly injured Sir Roderick. She told that her sister has forbidden the Maester to leave the Eyrie because of her concern for her son Robert's health. All that Sir Donald can promise is the attention of Septon, who tends to the garrison. When they arrive at the Bloody Gate, they are met by Catelyn's uncle, Sir Brynden Tully, known as the Blackfish. Once they have passed through the gate, Catelyn can see the richness of the Vale of Arryn spread out before her, and the peak known as the Giant's Lance rising miles above the valley floor. Her uncle points out the faint glimmer of the 7 towers of the Eyrie on the side of the mountain and says that they can reach the foot of the lance by evening. When Sir Roderick declares that he cannot go any further, Catelyn decides to leave the rest of her party behind. Marlon the singer asks to accompany her to the castle. Catelyn, who cannot understand how Marlon survived the journey which killed so many others, agrees. Then Bronn, whose ferocious fighting helped out their path to safety, declares that he is also coming. Cat dislikes the sellsword because of his lack of kindness and loyalty, and would prefer to separate the sellsword from his fast friend Tyrion Lannister. However, Cat cannot politely refuse after permitting Marlon to come, and agrees. Always making mistakes. As they travel, the Blackfish rides next to Cat. Cat recalls that her uncle was close to all the Tully children, and even Peter Baelish when they were children, despite a long feud with their father, Lord Hoster. It had been in defiance of Lord Hoster naming him the Black Goat of the Tully flock that Sir Brynden had taken a black version of a fish as his personal. Cat recalls that the feud ended after the dual wedding of Catelyn and Lisa to Eddard Stark and Jon Arryn, and the Blackfish left River Run to Sir Jared in the Valley. After Cat finished explaining her story, Rebel says her father must be warned. This River Run is right in the path of any Lannister attack. And when Cat asked what the mood of the Vale is, he tells her that there is anger at the suspicious death of much-loved Lord Jon and the giving of the title of Warden of the East to Jaime Lannister. Lisa had instructed everyone to call young Robert Arryn the true Warden of the East. The Blackfish also given Cat the dire news that the young Lord Robert is unhealthy and cries when his dolls are taken away, leading some to whisper that he is too weak for this. Some suggest that Sir Royce, who ruled at High Stewart while Jon Arryn serving as hand of the king. She rules out comes of age. Others believe that Lysa should be married, but the Blackfish think she is just playing that courtesy and rule herself. When Cat states that a woman can rule as wisely as a man, the Blackfish replies, the right women can, but not Lysa. He explains that the death of her husband and the stillborn and miscarriage children before that have left Lysa unstable and hysterical, protective of her child. Above all, Lysa seems to fear the Lannisters, and now Cat has brought a Lannister to her doorstep. Cat insists that Tyrion is her prisoner. In reply, her uncle notes that Tyrion is not in chains, but also carrying a self-sword, trailing him like a shadow. Cat reminds him that Tyrion is not here by choice. That is why Lysa's letter started the whole business. After passing the valley surrounded by the mountains, they reach the Gate of the Moon. Well above the gatehouse, Cat can see the looming mass of the mountain. High above that, the tower that keeps stone, snow, sky, and then the Eyrie. Tyrion. So, all right, I'll keep going. Sorry. Jess, blah, blah, blah. When the dwarf asks how one gets up, they're told they pretty much have to climb. Beyond that, ascent is made on foot or in a winch basket that brings you up. And there's like a small bridge you have to go over after you get up as far as you can by the mules. The Eyrie is directly above the sky. Tyrion declines the offer of being sent up in a basket because father would not approve him going up like a load of turnips. Responds that Lannisters have arrogance. Tyrion replies that his father is the soul of what is that word? Avarice? Avarice? A-V-A-R-I-C. Avarice?
Yeah.
Jaime has pride. Yeah. Avarice. Okay. And Cersei lusts for power, but he is innocent as a lamb and will bleat for her. So the portcullis is raised and they are met by Lord Nestor Royce. Brynden asks for hospitality for the night, and he's told Catelyn has been instructed to go up tonight. But the rest can stay in the castle. Brynden is furious, considering night ascent to be too dangerous without a full moon. The guide Maya Stone then introduces herself and promises that no harm will come to Catelyn, citing her experience on the 100th night ascents. Stone is the surname of a bastard in the Vale, reminding her of Jon. She is speechless, but Lord Nestor states that Maya has never failed him, and Cat agrees to the night ascent. Maya Stone guided Cat up the long path of the Eyrie in the dark, claiming, having a torch only blind one on a clear night. Maya then tells Cat that Michelle Redfort and a squire she loves says she has the eye of an owl. Cat knows that because his family is highborn, the squire will never be allowed to marry a bastard. God, can I skip ahead? This is such a long one. Each way tower, they switch. It's such a long one. Fresh mules. And then they kind of explain what the first way tower does not seem too bad, but the next part is much steeper. At the next way tower, Maya explains that it's called snow because hundreds of years ago, this was where the snow began. At first, Catelyn thinks that as a Tully and a Stark, she shouldn't be scared. However, when they must lead the mules across the high saddle between the two spires of rocks, Catelyn finds that she's really scared and can't move and needs Maya to come back and escort her. She was trembling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At Sky, Maya explains that they must walk the last hour because the trail is more like a stone ladder. Cat states that having traveled all day and the best part of the night, she will ride with the turnips instead. Cat finds the Eyrie, which can house 500 men, strangely empty. She is brought to her sister's quarters. Lysa, now a plump, pale, and to Cat's annoyance, well-rested woman, is polite until Sir Vardis Egan and Master Coleman depart. Then she rages at Cat for bringing Tyrion to the Eyrie, thus dragging her into Cat's quarrel with the Lannisters. Cat replies that it was Lysa who sent the letter naming the Lannisters as murderers of her husband. Lysa responds that it was a warning to avoid them, not to fight them. Roused by his mother's voice, young Lord Robert appears in the door, grasping a doll. Liza, and there's nothing wrong with that. Liza introduces Kat to Robert and calls him a beautiful and strong child, warning Kat not to believe the stories. Liza insists that one of the deathbeds, her husband said the seed is strong, to let everyone know what a strong boy his son was. Kat attempted to bring back the subject of preparing for war, but Liza insists that Kat be quiet because such talk will scare Robert. Liza then exposes her breast, and the 6-year-old, goes to town. The sight makes Kat think of her youngest son, Rickon, who is half the boy's age and 5 times as fierce. Kat continues to press Liza to discuss preparations for war. Liza replies that even if the Lannisters could bring an army up, everyone says the Eyrie is impregnable. Kat realizes that her uncle Brynden had tried to warn her about Liza. Liza then asks what she is supposed to do with Tyrion, and Robert asks if he's a bad man. When Liza replies that he is, Robert says, make him fly. Liza strokes the boy's hair, muses that perhaps this is just what they need to do. Please tell me that's the end. Thank God. All right. Thank you for everyone sticking by that one. Woo! But that is important. Thank you. Hello, author Stephen Walton. How are you doing? My good friend, Culture Casino. Thank you for coming. Thank you. I'm not breaking up again, breaking up bad. It's because I read it I should just do it from my phone from now on. And I will do that on the next chapter. So what did you get from that? There's so much to unpack there. So much.
She's so stupid. I guess that's the first thing.
Okay. I agree. Let me just say right off the rip, completely, utterly agree.
Okay. Where should we start with this?
You know what? I'll go back to the summary. Let's just go down the chapter itself. So they make it to the Bloody Gate. All right. We find out that in the last Tyrion chapter, we see them in that first battle. Okay. But I forgot there was actually 2 attacks.
Right. Me too.
And it wasn't until I reread this, I remembered that party getting up there was 2 attacks, and you see that Tyrion feels comfortable. Tyrion is riding a horse. Tyrion has a weapon. Tyrion has a sellsword friend. He has a battle axe, and it's funny. They point out that, is he your prisoner? Cause he doesn't look like he is.
Because she's not keeping him as one. But what's interesting too, I will say, I liked that they expanded on Bronn in the show.
Yes.
Because he really is a good character. And this reminded me of that, his little quips.
Yes.
It's his personality really shone through. And I love that they made him more of a character, gave him more of an important role in the show.
Well, I know that he is one of those characters that George wasn't planning on giving him much more than what we see in the next few chapters, but he turned out to really like him. And that's why he's still, doing what he does. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So this is the first moment where we see that Kat actually has the suspicion that he isn't guilty.
Right. Yeah.
Like almost admitting she might be wrong with him being the guilty party.
Right.
She doesn't not say that the Lannisters aren't guilty. It's Tyrion. I think that's what she's thinking.
Because she sees that he's not acting like a guilty person. It's not just the arrogant Lannister thing. He really is confident in his innocence.
Right.
And she is starting to question herself, as she should, because she's made a lot of poor decisions.
Yes.
But she doesn't stop.
No.
Like she doesn't talk with him and have a conversation.
Right.
And maybe turn this around before it gets worse, Do
you think she thinks she's too far already?
She may. And I think that comes, it becomes even more clear when she realizes her sister is even crazier than she is.
Yes. I completely agree with you on that one. Holy crap.
But I think that she has to know I guess if she thinks there's still time, And she thinks her sister is sane. She thinks she's the same person she was when they separated.
Mhm.
Maybe she is thinking we can have an investigation, maybe we can have a trial or something once we get there.
Right.
And
Right.
we can deal with it then. But it's still just, it's a terrible decision on her part to keep him a captive if she suspects
Terrible.
he's innocent.
Even if she has that feeling that he could be, you know,
Because
you're
her
absolutely
family
right.
is still in the South.
Right. Right. Her daughters and her husband.
Yeah,
And she made a decision without thinking of anybody but herself.
exactly.
I mean, we talked about that previously, but it just keeps, it's obvious. And she's starting to allow herself to believe that. I just want to say hi to Tina, K-Log. I saw you in there. K-Log has an awesome channel. Please make sure you guys check him out. Bone, what is up, my friend? Thank you for being here. So then we're introduced to Brendan, Brendan the Blackfish.
The Blackfish.
One of my favorite characters, and I forgot how awesome he is.
I love him.
You see it more
intelligent and strong
and witty.
He is.
George seems to give these older grizzly knights and warriors. Brendan's a little more witty than the rest of them, but they all have some type of understanding about the world, understanding about war. Like they're the ones you want to listen to.
Right.
You know, and even he's the one that says Tyrion doesn't look like he's your prisoner. Oh, and Kat's like, oh, you know, he's here. He's not here on his own. He is my prisoner, but you're allowing him to communicate with the guys. You don't have him in cuffs. He looks like he's part of your party.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, yeah, right. You know, but one of the things I like about him is that he expresses his wisdom. You know, he tries to advise.
Yes.
But he's not going to interfere.
He knows his place.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. All these older knights, and I'm glad you just said that, all these older knights know their station in life. Right. And he knows she's a lord's wife. So same as Liza. He will talk to them because they're his nieces, but he will respect their decisions because they're above him in a station.
Correct.
You know, and he respects the hierarchy. We also get a little background about him, which I find interesting. I forgot that he really was when Holster, you know, the kids, including Littlefinger, didn't want to go to their father and their mother was sick. They went to him. He was the one that they cried on his shoulder. He was the one they told their happy news to. So in all aspects, he's almost like a father. He is a father.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get that from the history. And you also get that there was a falling out between her father and the Blackfish. And it was over the Blackfish never wanting to marry anyone that Holster allowed or arranged. He would never accept it. Now, a lot of people, and I wanted your take on this. That's a hint of something. Do you believe that he may be a gay character?
I did not think of that, actually.
See, a lot of people think that.
Really?
And it's all because of these two things said here. He didn't want to marry anybody he was set up to marry by the Lord of Riverrun and the warden of that area. And he was good with the children. Like a straight man can't be good with the children. But that's one of the reasons people put it. Like they say, and the reason they say that is he didn't get, it's not that he didn't get married because he didn't love children. You know, I always thought of it this way. If you look at the different women, and I had it written down, I was just looking for it. They tell you the marriages they were going to arrange for him. They were all marriages from the people who fought on the rebellion side. And I have a feeling that the Blackfish was loyal to his brother, but believed in the Targaryens' right to rule. He's named after Brendan Rivers.
Right.
He took the name Blackfish, even though it's the black goat thing, you get that Blackfire feel from there. There's other things that happen later on in the books that make you realize he may have been a loyalist of the Targaryens, but out of love and respect for his liege lord, he decided to fight on the, and I want to say, I don't remember stories of him actually fighting in the rebellion. He just didn't take up arms against them. I don't remember that exactly.
This is my first time hearing this theory.
Yeah, I thought about that a while ago, and I don't know. There's probably a theorist out there that said that too. It actually could have been Preston Jacobs, one of his older videos that first gave me the idea. But yeah, that is something, because he always sneaks in. Look, not everyone wanted Robert to win this. Okay. Right. They didn't care that the crown prince took his girl. You know, they just didn't care. And they didn't know the cruelty of the Mad King. So
that's true.
There's gonna be a lot of them, you know? Tully women can't live with them, can't live without them. No, you can live without them. Holy crap.
I think you live without them better.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Or you can't live with them, can't kill them legally. I don't know in those days.
I think you probably could.
Yeah, at least Dumbledore isn't gay. Phew.
Oh God.
Best one of the night so far. That is fantastic. I like that one. That's hilarious. All right, I'm sorry. But you have the Blackfish giving advice, telling her that your sister's lost her shit. The woman that went to King's Landing isn't the woman that came back.
Right.
We also find out that she had 2 stillborn births and I think 4 miscarriages.
Yeah. And that's something I'd forgotten about too.
Yes.
I don't know if that comes up in the show, but it would partially explain her insanity with respect to this child. The baby, as she calls him.
I have another theory.
Really?
Yes. And I think I've heard one other person say this, and I kind of think it's a cool theory. I don't know if it's the right theory. So we find out earlier on that Liza was forced to marry a man, John Aaron, who is her father's age. Right. So he was old. I mean, he was at least 50, 60-year-old guy when she was in her probably early 30s, late 20s at this point. Her only way to rebel, and she may have loved somebody else. That's me winking.
Yeah.
She may have loved somebody else, that these weren't stillborns and miscarriages by accident, that they have a drink called moon tea that women take when they think they're pregnant to give themselves miscarriages.
Yeah.
Now, if she definitely did not want to marry Lord Aaron, was this her way of rebelling against him? Because the way they explain Robert Aaron's weaknesses, moon tea doesn't always work, and the child can be affected by it. And a lot of the things that happen to Robert Aaron, the way he shakes and the way he is, could be an effect of it not working.
That is insane.
Right?
And
believable. Now, people will say, but look how she is with him. Well, once she gave birth, it's her son.
Right.
You put that child in a woman's arms, most women, and I'm not trying to be a sexist, but most women fall in love with their own child.
And also, she could be feeling,
guilty.
Yeah.
Yes. So what do you think about that one?
I like it. It also explains so much.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, explains her overprotectiveness, her allowing him to do whatever he wants.
It's almost like she's projecting.
Yes.
She tried to kill him, so
now she's allowing him to do whatever he wants. And somebody else is now going to try to kill him.
Right.
I mean, the kid's 6 years old and he's still breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that part when they talk about it, he really goes into great detail talking about her nipples. And I was just like, damn, I forgot about that. But I guess 6 years of breastfeeding will do that to a woman's nipples. Just a thought. So we move on from there. And please, if you have more to just jump in, because it's just the two of us. So.
Let's see. What else? Okay. We can move on from there.
Okay. Hold on. Where did I write my next notes? Let me just find those. So now we are approaching the Bloody Gate.
Mm-hmm.
We went through the Bloody Gate, and now we are moving up, going to the Moon Door. Wait a minute, is it the Moon Gate? The Moon Gate, right?
I forget the name of the gate,
yeah,
but
it's the Moon Gate.
I love how they describe this realm,
Yes.
with the multiple layers and how the staircases or the path gets smaller and smaller and increasingly more dangerous.
Right.
I don't think the show didn't do a good enough job of, I think, depicting just how terrifying this was.
Right. I mean, they couldn't. And also, I forgot how many different castles go up the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 5 of them. Sky, snow, this, that. I mean, you have a lot of castles going up. It is a long journey. It's hours up the mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to point out with this is that from the beginning of this book, anytime someone talks about the Eyrie,
mm-hmm.
they talk about how impossible it is to attack.
Right.
Danny, no, because we're allowed to spoil this book. Danny's dragons, that's the only way. There's something is going to happen at the Eyrie. Okay, I'm foreshadowing. I know we're not supposed to do that, but they just talk about it so much that
you can't get through it. You can't get through it.
It's impregnable. No one could ever attack this. Blah, 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 blah. Someone's going to attack it, and someone's going to beat the Eyrie, and someone's going to get in there. Well, I just have a feeling.
It would have to be the dragons, though. I don't think there's anything else that could reach, for all the reasons that they say, in terms of how they established it. You can't get horses and, massive armies up a 3-foot path with drop-offs on both sides.
Right.
There's just no way.
Insane.
And I have walked on the side of a mountain where you have about 3 feet to the drop-off on one side.
Scary.
I couldn't imagine it being on both sides.
Right. Freaking scary. That is not something that mostly happens in nature. Like, these are rock bridges that are just naturally forming and scary. Yeah, I've done the same thing on cliff sides, scared out of my mind, like
crazy.
I mean, it's a sheer drop to your death. You're done.
And I was hoping that she did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
When we get to that part, I'd like to talk about that actually. So when they get to the Moon Gate, her sister pretty much says, no, you have to come up now. Like they were planning on, after their 2 battles, to climb up to there to rest at that castle for the night. Nope. Sorry. Nope. You are moving on up the hill and up the Eyrie. You're going all the way up tonight.
And that should have been a sign.
Right there.
How many do you need?
Right. And I think this chapter does better than any other chapter. It shows you that Kat isn't following her instincts. She has some good instincts in this chapter, and she doesn't follow them. And it's to her fault and to her own demise that she doesn't follow them. I mean, she thinks of separating Bronn and Tyrion. She doesn't like how they're getting chummy, but yet she allows Bronn to come up the mountain with them out of courtesy.
Right.
Yet
why?
This is war.
He's your prisoner.
I don't know.
You went through all of this trouble. You put everyone in danger. And no, nothing. Okay.
Yep.
Good point, Tina.
Very good point, Tina. I didn't even think about that. I mean, that's an excellent point. If the undead get to the Eyrie, oh, wait a minute. We really shouldn't jump that. But we already know about White Walkers and we know they're coming if they attack.
But even still, I mean, to get all the way to the top, they would still have to do it one at a time. I mean, you could just kill them by hitting them one at a time.
Yep.
Pushing them off, literally.
Yeah. I mean, literally, you're right.
Or just have one person stand there and shove them as they
it makes me think the Last Stand of the 300. If you could force them into a bottleneck, anybody, any army coming up there, 3 guys can stop them.
Yeah.
You know, they just have to be positioned right. And on this, I mean, you just have to push guys off one way or the other. It's not even like they're getting bottlenecked in. They can't get by you.
Right.
You know? And even if it gets really bad, you destroy the land bridge.
That's it.
You know? And then it's do or die. I mean, that's like a last resort, but that's what you do. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
You know? Would somebody address the elephant in the room?
What elephant in the room?
Yeah, what elephant is that? Darren sometimes puts some wacky stuff. I love it. Darren, like my father before me, elephants are unable to talk. It would be futile. Okay. Yeah. Well, Time Prophet, you got a point there. She's dumb, y'all. Yes, she is. If you're talking about Kat.
Yep. She is.
Memes, how are you, my good man? Thank you for stopping in. Everybody, please hit that like button. Share the stream, retweet my tweet, do something. I'll appreciate it. Not really in the show. They climb over each other to get up the wall. Right. But the wall is so wide.
So you're saying, I guess what she's saying is they would have to come up the actual mountain itself. But how long would that take?
That could take more than a couple 100,000 of them. I mean, the Erie is high up there. They wouldn't be able to like make a human ladder like in World War Z when they go over the Jerusalem ones. Think of that, but another, 1,200 feet. I don't know. I unless that's how she means it.
Like the Eiffel Tower type. I don't see how you would.
Yeah.
Even still, you could just set them on fire at that point.
Latino Slant. I love Latino Slant. Thank you for showing up, my friend.
Hello.
So back to what we were talking about though.
That would be amazing to see them try it though.
Yeah.
You should put up that picture.
Oh my God. Yeah. You want to see the Erie, you're saying? Yeah. Okay. This is because I upgraded everybody. So this is for you.
Show it off.
So this is the Erie. This is the very top of the Erie. You're above the clouds in some aspects.
Yeah.
It's not just mist. It's the cloud line. I'm talking they are way the frig up there. That's a day to maybe at a fast pace, a half a day travel up a mountainside. That is a tall place to go. I don't know. I don't think the dead could do it, but I understand why she's saying it. But so she's forced to go up the mountain and she's about to meet a young girl named Maya Stone.
Yes.
Love Maya Stone. How about you?
What
are your feelings on her? Please talk. What are your feelings on her?
Initially, I did not know who she was.
I just muted. Are you serious? Oh my God. That's such an awesome new surprise. Go on.
Yeah, I had no idea. But I liked her personality. I liked her spirit, her gumption. She's so strong. She's so brave. But she's also very sweet, and even Kat, in talking with her, learned that she reminded her of Sansa in her view of love. And apparently she has a boyfriend and he's a noble. So, of course, Kat is all bitter and negative.
About bastards, right?
Yeah. He surely would marry her because of she's a bastard or whatever. And it brings up feelings about John that she has that are irrational.
Right.
But I liked her. And what's funny is now that I know who she is,
right,
her personality, her appearance, everything makes sense.
Seed is strong. Now they don't actually say it in this chapter, do they?
No, I think the next chapter.
The next chapter, Cats. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. What I liked about this section of the chapter was that you have this bastard girl who, like you said, Kat likes and thinks of her one daughter, but then thinks of John. So like
Yeah.
she has like this, I almost feel like she's ashamed that she even likes the girl. And then on top of that, when she's talking about the boy, it makes her think of her daughter and pretty much how dumb then. And if you're relating her to her daughter and then saying she's an idiot for thinking this boy is going to treat her good,
Right.
then you're saying that your daughter, who believes in all the, kings and or all the stories, is an idiot.
Right.
I wonder how she actually treated her kids after I read this chapter.
I don't know that she even really felt guilty. I think she didn't want to like this girl, and she didn't want to talk to her.
Right.
If she could have gotten up that mountain without her,
she would have done it.
Absolutely would have.
You're absolutely
Even
right.
now, in this situation, with everything that's happened, she's still being a bitch.
Like nonstop, dude. And it's just so, I'm sorry, dude. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous and it's uncalled for. But that goes to show you that she is not growing as a person.
Right.
Okay. Throughout the books, we see other characters grow and go on their character journey. You don't see growth in her.
You don't.
She is always, first of all, she's an elitist and she holds biases.
Right.
And throughout her story, she will always have those. I feel like even when I read this, I believed it.
I mean, this is yet another chapter and she's still just as bad as she was. I don't see any progress.
Right. And still dissing Jon Snow.
Right. Like, why are you I can't.
Oh, I can't either. It's so aggravating. She asks about how the Vale is, like how are the people in the Vale? And, everyone's suspicious about the death of Jon Arryn. They're all worried about, Robert actually being the warden. They're all pissed that Jaime Lannister, a Kingsguardman, has been named the Warden of the East, which
it's incredibly offensive.
It's offensive in the first place, but also as a Kingsguard, how is he Warden of the East, but he can't take his father's lands?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Because if you're considered the Warden of the East, then you claim the Eyrie as your own, right? That's what I've always understood.
I think you're ruling it under the king's stead or in the king's stead.
So
you're like his
governor.
Governor, yeah.
Okay. But even then, okay,
but
so
he's
then
not supposed to have that responsibility.
No, he's supposed to just protect the king. I don't know.
That's an insult.
Right. It's a blatant insult, and I'm shocked that Robert allows that. Like
really?
Well, no. I mean, he's used as a puppet. He agrees to whatever Cersei wants.
If anything, this is used to show even more of Robert's downfall as a leader.
Right.
How nothing matters anymore.
I love you guys. You guys haven't read the books and you still watch my stream. I so appreciate that. Thank you. I hope you're learning something, and I hope you guys actually go back and read or listen to it, because it's I don't know, Jayne and I both, it's my favorite series.
Yeah.
I hope it gets finished. Personally for me, it's my favorite. What else was there? All right.
Yeah,
you got anything you want to touch on?
No, I was just going to say, I think it shows that if he would let the Lannisters get away with this, he would let them get away with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
That.
And he believes whatever they tell him.
He doesn't care, though.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know that he believes them, but I just think where he is in his mind is he doesn't care. He never really wanted to be a king.
Right. He wanted to just conquer. He wanted retribution. He didn't give a shit about. He didn't care towards the end until it was the end of it that they might win, that he started acting kingly, and they all just backed off and allowed him because he has that quarter Targaryen blood.
Right.
So he actually has a claim to the throne by his grandmother on his father's side.
Well, they need that to legitimize him, but
right.
If it could have been someone else, he probably would have been happy.
Definitely after he became king.
Mm-hmm.
He said it multiple times in chapters we read before. There's another thing I wanted to touch on about Catelyn and Maya Stone. You see that she's a realist with people. Like her inner monologue, she just is real about their situation. But then when it comes to her family, that goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, she doesn't like think clearly when it comes to her own family, but everybody else she does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean,
is that's human nature?
No, I think she's just crazy.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Because she
Good.
has to think clearly. If she cares about her family, she would be trying to think more clearly about her surroundings and the people that she's interacting with, because anyone could be a threat.
Right.
So you would heighten your focus.
Right.
You would trust your instincts. She's
Yeah.
not doing any of that.
None of it. None of it. I mean, we see that again with the Braun decision, even though she knows it's a bad idea letting him go up. Hope that doesn't come to bite her in her own ass. And another thing I noticed, I think I wrote it here. I was shocked rereading this that was her first time in the Vale. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that, but I'm not shocked by it.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine why she would necessarily go.
You would think 14 years after getting married and living in Winterfell, she'd never thought to take her kids to visit the fabled Eyrie, which I don't know who said it earlier. They said, isn't the Eyrie owl's nest? It's an eagle's nest. Or a hawk. I'm forgetting now. Their sigil is either an eagle or a hawk, not an owl. And that goes back to their, oh God, the who conquered the Eyrie from the first men.
I forgot.
No, not Valerians. The Faith of the Seven. The oh my God, who brought the Faith of the Seven over from Essos? They all had steel. Everybody else had iron.
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, right?
I know who you're talking about.
Oh my God, we're embarrassing. Why can't I think of it? Andals. The Andals. Thank you, Adam Price. Always the man here. Always the man with the
answers. Has the answers.
God damn, he does. Thank you, bro. Palanuki, my friend. Hail. Yeah. You didn't. I got you. I knew the S was a mistake, or the A was a mistake. You had it. You're the man. Thank you, brother. So it goes back to their Andal ways that I think they were called and Adam, was it an eagle or a hawk? Or they used to believe their king could turn into one and fight battles that way.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know in the comments if you know that. If you guys have any questions while we're going over this, please put at Sporking questions. Yes, I'm stealing that from you, Odin. At Sporking question, and I'll know that we'll bring it up and take the question. Serious questions, please. Unless it's really funny, then I'll put that up. But serious questions. So now we get up to the Eyrie.
Mm-hmm.
She goes and sees her sister, and everything seems hunky-dory at first. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I skipped something.
Yeah.
We also find out that... Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why you wouldn't want to bring your kids is the trek up there.
Yeah, but...
I mean, people die on the way.
Yeah, I guess you're right. No, I guess you're right.
I wouldn't want to visit.
I mean, you could put your kids in the winch, but you still...
You risk that.
Right. You still have to go over those little land bridges and stuff. So you are right. That makes sense. One thing I did forget was we find out that...
Terrified, so.
What?
I was just saying she's terrified.
Right.
There's no way she would have gone.
No, you're right. Mostly with her kids in tow. We also find out that Eliza, there's a lot of suitors trying to marry her, but she's just playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone thinks that one of the Royces, I believe it was one of the Royces, should be named like regent until Robert is of age.
Right.
It's the next cat chapter. We talk again about fostering, right? Yeah, it's not this chapter. We also get into so we find out that she's just playing the game. She really wants to rule.
Yeah.
So now we're up there. She meets Cat, everything's hunky-dory, and then people leave, and then she loses her freaking ever-loving mind. What did you think about that part of the book?
I think it was quite a turn. I think it does support that she is playing the game. And it shows just how sneaky and conniving she is, that she's putting up this face to the public.
Right.
But at the same time, again, this is one more clue that Cat should probably leave now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Her sister is nuts.
Her sister is out of her mind, and like attacking her about bringing the war to her. But she's like, you wrote me a letter.
Right.
You know, and I can understand the moment her sister does say it was a warning not to bring them with you, bring the fight to her. I thought that was pretty good comeback.
But
one thing I have to, go ahead.
Hear about it then.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I know it's a secret.
It's treason. I mean, essentially, you don't put something like that out there. And secondly, they did kill your husband, so you believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you side with them?
Right.
With your sister in a war. Your military is like the best, right?
That's one of the questions we need to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why is she doing what she's doing? You know, and she makes sure everyone in the Vale calls Robert the true Warden of the East. You know what I mean? Like she's declaring war just by doing that. She's defying the crown. So why doesn't she think it's going to come her way anyways?
Right. But it's interesting that Cat noticed there weren't as many people in the city.
Right.
So I wonder if her countrymen are abandoning her.
Well, I also, if you didn't, you would think when you hear stories of the Erie, and that's another thing I noticed when I reread it, when Cat explains it, first of all, she explains it as cold and like isolated and probably the worst place for a crazy woman to be, someone with mental health issues at this moment.
Right.
Liza being there all by herself, protecting her son, all just isolated up there, but it could only hold 500 men. That
right.
isn't much in a I mean, I would think that Winterfell could hold 20 times that.
Easily.
10,000 men.
Yeah.
This can only hold 500. Now, granted, I could see 500 defending that position from people coming up, but I always assumed it was bigger. For some reason in my head, even after reading it, I thought it was a bigger place.
But even then, I think it is. It probably is from the imagery we've seen of it, but it's just not heavily populated. And it seemed from my reading that he was even less populated than what it can hold.
Right.
Like the expected number of people aren't there.
Right.
For some reason.
Right. Right. Like, why is no one there? Yeah, no, I'm with you on that too. I don't think I have anything else on that one. Anything you want to close with that one? I do like Robin asking is he a bad man?
Is he a bad man?
We make him fly. You know, like, oh, we're in the Shining. It's the Shining up here. They're going crazy. That's the effect I get from it. Like, oh, this is a crazy family. We're screwed. Like one of those type of things. Yeah. I love this chapter. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people thought it was like setting up for the next Cat chapter. I think you get a lot of information in this chapter. We just went an hour on one chapter.
Yeah, I agree. It gives you a great deal of insight into who Cat is, who her family is, the role the Erie may well play in the final game. If any.
If any, right.
Yeah, it's a great chapter. I enjoyed it.
It is. Yeah, me too. And you get to see this relationship of the sisters, of an uncle and a niece, of her party with her. You just see all these different interactions. You're meeting you've heard of a couple people from the Eyrie, but now you're meeting more more knights and people that will be involved in later books. And and there's also, a couple things that it's actually the next chapter that really foreshadow Cat's chapter, the next one. And we'll get into that next week. All right, let's move on to Ned. What do you have?
All right, let's see. Get to the summary.
While you're doing that, McKinney 90, my good friend, hope you're still joining me Saturday night after Rogue Entertainment. We are having a live stream. Usually it starts about 9:30, depending on how long Rogue Entertainment show that we're on with the great Stephen Walton and his coffee, Final Death Star, and Lorena Creel and guests, because now we can have more people on. So please join us. That show will have myself, McKinney, if he's coming. Maybe Tom from Midnight's Edge. Don't mean to put that out. He said maybe. DJ Scandalous will be there. Ryan from RK Outpost will be there for at least the first hour. There might be even a drunk going up, but he did not verify because he might be doing something else. I'm just throwing his name out there to get you people to watch.
Right.
No, but he might have other plans, but he's always gracious. So I just want to let you know he might be there. And one other person that I'm blanking on at the moment.
A surprise
guest. Thank you. That's even better. That sounds good. That sounds real good. Yes, McKinney is in. Awesome. McKinney, you need to get you got to get a Twitter though, man. I know you hate Twitter, but you got to get a Twitter. It's just easier to DM, but I'll send it to your Instagram, my friend. All right. Okay. You ready?
Yes. Let's
All right.
Started.
Go for it.
All right. Okay. So the summary for Eddard's chapter. Ned finds Littlefinger in the common room of the Chataya's brothel, talking with an elegant black-skinned woman. His guardsman, Hayward, is gambling for the removal of clothes with a whore while Jory Cassell watches from the window. Ned declares his business done, and Jory moves to bring the horses around while Littlefinger makes a joke about what part of the king's anatomy the hand of the king might be filling in for in a brothel. In no mood for Littlefinger's jokes, Ned gruffly declares he is no longer the hand. Outside, it is raining as they mount up. As they ride the deserted streets, Littlefinger tells Ned that he is considering buying the brothel because brothels make much sounder investments than ships. They do not sink, and pirates pay good coin like everyone else. As they ride back toward the Red Keep in the rain, Ned remembers the night his sister Lyanna was betrothed to Robert. Lyanna had told him that Robert would never keep to one bed. Ned, who had already held Robert's first bastard daughter, assured her that Robert was a good man who would love her with all his heart. Lyanna responded that one could not change a man's nature. After what he has seen this night, Ned cannot say his sister was wrong. Ned's business at Chataya's brothel was to meet the prostitute with Robert's bastard daughter named Bara. The child resembled Robert, and the girl was proud to show him that the baby had the king's nose and hair. Ned still remembers that Robert's firstborn had the same hair. The girl asked him to tell Robert how beautiful their daughter is, that she's not been with anyone else, and that she's waiting for him. Eddard vowed that she and the child would be well cared for. As he rides, Ned reflects that he is cursed to always keep his promises, while Robert can swear undying love and forget it by the morning. Ned thinks about Jon Snow and wonders why the gods give men such lust only to frown on bastards. Ned then asks Littlefinger about Robert's bastards. Littlefinger says he does not know exactly how many there are. He goes on to speak in detail about Robert's acknowledged bastard, Edric Storm, the son of a cousin to the king's sister-in-law. Littlefinger also speaks of a rumored pair of twins of a serving maid at Casterly Rock, which Cersei had killed. Ned is surprised that Robert would stand by and let such a thing happen, but then recalls that Robert seems to have grown adept at shutting his eyes. Ned asks why Jon Arryn would suddenly take such an interest in Robert's bastards. Littlefinger suggests that maybe Robert asked him to. Hold on. All right, hold on a second.
Take your time. This is a good one. I forgot it. One of those.
Yeah, Ned declares that John Aaron was killed for something more than that. Littlefinger says scornfully that maybe Lord Aaron had to be silenced for discovering Robert had bastard children, scoffing that next the man might be audacious enough to claim the sun rises in the east. Ned thinks of Rhaegar Targaryen for the first time in years and wonders if the Dragon Prince frequented brothels. Somehow, he thinks not. Suddenly, they are surrounded by at least 20 Lannister guardsmen. Jaime Lannister rides up and declares that he's looking for his brother, who apparently had some troubles on the road. Ned tells him that Catelyn took Tyrion prisoner to answer for his crimes. This causes Littlefinger to groan in dismay and Jaime to move forward and draw his sword. Jaime demands that Ned show his steel, declaring that he will butcher Ned, but prefers if Ned will fight back. Jaime then suggests Littlefinger leave if he does not want blood on his expensive clothes. Littlefinger needs no urging, but assures Ned that he will bring the city watch. The Stark guardsmen have drawn their swords, but it's 3 against 20, so Ned reminds Jaime that if he dies, Catelyn will kill Tyrion. Jaime doesn't believe him, but is unwilling to chance it, so he tells his men not to harm Ned, yet Jaime refuses to leave Ned entirely unchastened, so he orders Ned's guardsmen killed. Ned and his men are quickly overwhelmed, and Hayward and Weil are cut down. Jory manages to break free, but returns almost immediately and is killed. In the confusion, Ned's horse slips and falls, and Ned is blinded by pain of his leg breaking. When he opens his eyes again, Ned drags himself through the mud. When Littlefinger and the Gold Cloaks finally arrive, they find him cradling Jory's dead body. He's returned in horrid pain to the Tower of the Hand, where Grand Maester Pycelle attends to his injury.
Oof.
Terrible.
This is
It's
yeah.
so
And the summary doesn't give it enough
It doesn't.
emotion towards the end of this, but we'll start from the beginning. And this is what I was just Jory. I mean, oh God, that one was painful, but we'll talk about that at the end. The great Thomas Gilkey here, people. Let's get his sub count up. Please subscribe to the great Thomas Gilkey. He is not far away from 475, I think he told me. Thomas, let us know your number. That was an audio graphic. Just want to let you know. I have to say the scene, this is one of those parts from season 1. Thomas just said he loved the scene, and I did too in the show.
Yeah.
But it is so different in the book.
It is so different. And this is another one that they did right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I liked the change they made. I liked seeing Ned and Jaime fight.
Yes.
You could see the skill of these two warriors. I also like how in the show they have the guard, the soldier stab Ned.
Right.
And you see Jaime's reaction to it. So I think that was adding a little character to Jaime that we don't necessarily get here. So I did like those two changes.
Yes. And we'll come back. Well, let's just talk about that part and we'll go back.
That was just the best part.
Yeah, because it is the best part.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of foreshadowing and stuff you find out earlier. But so in the show, it's daytime. Ned has more guards. Yeah. Jaime rolls up. They start going one-on-one combat. Guy stabs Ned in the thigh. Jaime knocks the dude out and leaves. But first kills Jory through the eye.
Yeah.
This one, though, I find to be more because Ned, I like the one in the show, actually. Ned just falls. His horse falls and breaks his freaking leg. Yeah. But it snaps his leg out. It's a compound fracture. He crawls to Jory and holds him in his arm till he like pretty much just passes out and they find him holding him in his arms. I mean, how this was someone he loved. He's known his whole life. And he was murdered because his freaking wife took a prisoner and didn't think about anybody freaking else.
But one thing I wonder is if Arya's words were running through his head in this moment too.
And what's that?
about how there's someone planning to kill him.
Yes. And
That
thinking
threat.
it's the Lannisters.
Right.
Oh shit. I didn't think about that. I never thought about that. That's a good idea. We never find that out, but
No.
or do we? Does he think that at all?
He wasn't paying attention to her, remember?
No, not in this chapter.
You know, but it seems like in this moment, with everything happening, he has to be thinking about that. He has to be thinking about the guards he gave away, who should be with him right now. That's the only reason he's outnumbered. It's because his other men aren't with him.
Yeah.
You know, another bad decision.
Right.
On his part.
And I completely, yes, 100% what you just said there, Thomas. I think what I liked about it was seeing Jaime be honorable and not wanting the guard to fight Ned. Jaime wants to fight Ned man to man. And I agree with that. They, again, in the show, they humanized him more than he gets humanized in the book early on. Right now, all we see is an asshole. But
and the whole hair thing, thing. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the show, it's in the broad daylight, right? It's hot. In the book, it's in the pouring rain, and he does it.
Right. You know, one of these things.
Oh, God.
One thing though you see is his love for his brother, because you don't know if his father sent him or he's doing this on his own. When I read it, I took it as he is pissed his brother got taken.
Yes, I take it as his being irrational in this moment.
I mean, he wants to kill the Hand of the King, the king's best friend, and doesn't give a shit what happens
at all.
But he's honorable about it. Show any of your steel and I'm going to kill you. You pull that blade. I'm giving you a warning.
Right then.
Right. And then what is the Hand of the King who's going around doing shady stuff that does also think people are plotting against him, that the chapter before told the king off and quit as Hand of the King, was just about to leave until Littlefinger gave him an idea.
Yeah.
Why did he only have a couple guards?
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it. I just hurt my back being angry. I'm telling you, it makes no sense.
Also, you get the sense that Littlefinger is delaying him. Like he knew this was happening.
Yeah.
If not, somehow set it up.
If not that, he wanted him to stay in. He wanted him to stay. He did not want him leaving. And you get that right there.
Yeah.
He did not want him leaving. And then he just jets. I'll get help. And just go. I mean, he's Littlefinger. And granted, in the next Cat chapter, we understand that a little bit more. But yeah, I found that to be funny.
Just after the fight.
Right. But I got to say, the Jory part broke my heart when I read it for the first time. The way Ned crawls to him with a compound fracture. You know, that's someone you love when you do something like that. He didn't, he didn't crawl to his other guards. He went right to Jory.
Yeah.
And their family has been part of the Stark family for a while. I mean, his older brother, right? Is Roderick? Is it his older brother or his uncle? I don't remember exactly. But I mean, he taught him how to be a man, like, that was a tough part. But now we go back to the brothel. All right. You have anything else to say about the fight?
No, it was just painful to watch.
All right.
Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't really part of the fight, but it was part of the conversation where he took up for Catelyn's stupidity.
Please discuss.
Oh, God. So Jaime is confronting him with Tyrion being taken by Cat. Justifiably upset, I think.
Yep.
And Ned says that he ordered it. We know he didn't.
Right.
Didn't know anything about it until after the fact. But yet he's so honorable. He stood by and took responsibility for this idiotic decision.
Now, I always assumed he did that, so it did not look like his family was going rogue on him.
I'm sure
he said, no, I ordered that, because think about it. He admits that his wife did something he had no clue she was going to do.
Right.
In those days, that would be her death sentence.
Yeah. I mean, and also he's head of the family, so he kind of has to take responsibility for what they do. I just hate that her actions put him in this position.
Right.
And his
He
claiming that he ordered it just made it that much worse.
right. But again, he focused the anger on him.
Right.
So I think that was an honorable thing to do.
It
Again,
was.
again, we see other honorable things he does in this chapter. You know, that part where he talks about how Robert will tell the women his undying love,
Yeah.
you know, and that poor girl
Yeah.
in the brothel, like telling him, like, please tell her, you know, the baby looks just like him, he's strong, and
And this
please
was a
tell
really
him.
young girl.
Oh yeah, a little girl. That's right. Please tell him. Please tell him. Come and see us. We love him. And, oh, I will. You know, like, was he lying to her? Because
I don't think he was lying,
I
but
think he really will go back and say something.
he will. He'll say, "Look, this little girl you got pregnant loves you
Right.
and wants to see you again and wants you to see your baby."
What a
He also
dirtbag.
knows that nothing's going to come of it. I mean, she'll
Nothing.
be taken care of. She
Right.
and the child will be taken care of, but that's it.
I just missed my mouth. Excuse me.
But the story about the twins, though.
Yes. Wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I mean, don't forget, she didn't just have the babes killed. She had the mother sold into slavery in a country where slavery is illegal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and everybody knows. It's a topic, you know, Robert knows. He has to know.
Of course he knows.
So he had the babies she had the babies killed, and then the mother put into slavery. Now, those are ones that were obvious slights that weren't born to highborn women, because we find out there is a bastard that he admits is his.
Mm-hmm.
And we do find out in this chapter, we do get the whole thing about the Stannis's bed, right? Yeah, we do.
Right.
We get the story again. So now you also get a little bit flashbacks here of, you know, why Stannis and his brother might not get along, because Robert, as Stannis was dancing with his wife. Now, if you don't know, in the world of Westeros, there is a ceremony after the wedding. So after the wedding, you have festivities and good times, but then there's a bedding. And what happens is you have to consummate your marriage on your wedding night in front of two witnesses. And when they came up and opened the door, there was his brother, King Robert, going to town on this girl. And she got pregnant and had Edric Storm. And that is one child that he admits is his own. So there is a bastard out there that he actually not legitimize. What would you call that? He doesn't legitimize.
No, he's acknowledged.
He's
just
acknowledged.
Like John.
Yeah. Right. Just like John is with Ned.
Right.
I did find it, and we always say we can spoil this book a bit. I found it very interesting how we go from the Eyrie and Maya Stone, and then we talk about Edric Storm in the next chapter.
Right.
Like, he is very good at setting up the chapter ahead from the chapter before.
Exactly.
And you don't even realize it until you read it a few chapters later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there are a couple that he acknowledges that are legitimate bastards of his out of the many he has that aren't.
Right. But he seems to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, you know, of who their parents are,
who
their mothers are, which you would expect. But that also could explain some issues with the treasury.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah. Right. Oh man, I never thought of that. Yeah. It definitely probably takes a chunk.
Many kids, how much child support do you pay?
What does he have, like 16 bastards or 25, something like that?
A lot.
He has a lot. And we find out more later. But then we also get flashbacks from Ned.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, he is thinking of his sister saying that you can't change a man's stripes pretty much.
And that's funny because at that time he was so in love with her
Mm-hmm. And
and
she
yet had
knew
a
it.
baby by someone else.
He already had a bastard, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So she knew it. She knew this is my life. You know,
Right.
like I'm going to be Cersei. And Ned promised her it wouldn't be like that. Again, Ned promising things.
Right. So how do you think it would have worked out between them if she had survived?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think Lyanna is a very strong woman,
Mhm.
and I think it would have been the division of the North and the rest of the kingdoms.
Yeah.
Because no matter how good of friends Robert and Ned were, I wonder if he would show a little more respect because it is Ned's sister, and Brandon Stark is a badass too, and
Mhm.
Rickon he respected, but I don't know if he wouldn't have more bastards, and
I
she would
feel like
maybe get jaded
yeah, I think that and knowing her, being the wolf that she was, she may have left him.
and went back north, starting a war.
Exactly. And
I
we'd be
agree with
right
that.
back in where we are.
Exactly. Exactly. You're absolutely right. There would have been some type of rebellion no matter what. Well,
Mm.
actually, he wouldn't be a king. Think about it. If they got
Oh, that is
married,
true too. Yeah,
the
I forgot about
rebellion
that.
wouldn't have
I keep
happened.
forgetting about that, yeah.
But still, so now the Stormlands in the north would have an issue because
Yeah.
he would be the Lord of the Stormlands. Um, that's a good one. We should bring that up on another like what if. We'll do a what if. Yeah, one of our Mondays we'll do we'll each come up with 3 questions of a what if this happened in a Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
That would be
I
cool.
like that. And once again, I always found this line a little weird. He found himself thinking of Rhaegar Targaryen again for the first time in years. But this is like the 6th time Rhaegar has come up. And I think at least 4 of those he thought of him.
And it's interesting that he thinks of him
Oh, in a
in a
positive, right?
respectful, honorable way.
I mean, he says to himself, I can't see myself believing Rhaegar would come to a brothel like this.
Right.
This is the guy who kidnapped and raped your sister and most likely murdered her.
Yeah.
That's crazy that he thinks that.
You don't think he would come to a brothel. By extension, you don't think that he would breed a bastard.
By extension, you don't think he'd be as bad of a person as your best friend.
Right.
This is the guy who stole your sister and raped her and killed her.
Yeah.
Gets you thinking, doesn't it?
It should.
It should, right? Let me just see if I have anything else about this. So the only other thing is that Edric Storm, Robert, I want to say when he got her pregnant, Robert took the mother with Stannis, gave birth, and then gave Edric Storm to Renly at Storm's End
Yes.
to be raised there.
Mm-hmm.
I just always found that interesting that after the birth gave him to Renly and not to Stannis, his second eldest brother.
But
once again, a slight to Stannis.
It's a slight to Stannis, but also between the two of them.
Oh, I would rather be with
Where
Renly.
would
He
you
seemed fun.
right? Yeah, I
He
don't know
seems
that I
like a
would want a
good
kid raised
time.
by Stannis.
He just seemed very happy.
Yeah. Very caring,
Yeah.
kind.
Let's see. At Sporky News Podcast, agreed. He's covering for the stupid woman that he had to marry. 2 witnesses. Imagine the performance anxiety.
Well, they're also drunk, so I mean,
Yeah, most of them are hammered. And people are
Probably didn't
outside the
care.
door,
Yeah, it's a party.
Are they 2 hot chicks? Yeah, that's a good question. But ugly old Septas? Nah. Yeah, I'm with you on that too, monster. All right. I have nothing else with this chapter that I could think of off the top of my head.
Let's see. No, I think that covers. I just hate watching the fall of Ned. Literally.
Yes. It just shows inept ability to see something coming. Because I'm trying to remember, and I'm blanking at the moment. Because I know in the show he didn't know Catelyn took Tyrion. Right?
What was the question?
Oh, he knew in the show that Catelyn didn't take Tyrion. He didn't know. And that was why he was like, I told her to. It was a surprise to him. Was that did he know in this one?
I'm trying to remember. I can't
thought in the last,
if he knew.
I thought in the last Ned chapter we found out, but I don't remember if the council they told him. Like he
did find out. He found out.
Right. Varys knew, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to read a couple more and then we're going to go on to the next.
We know that he did because he remembered the reason. He mentioned the reason to Jaime to answer for his crimes.
Right. 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 Time Prophet, I don't agree with Gary on that one. He says Nerdrotic doesn't think that George Martin will ever finish The Winds of Winter. I believe Gary is very right. If you watch that video, check out Gary's video on this. You probably already have. Shit, what am I saying? But he does say that, he explains how when you read the blog, not a blog, it kind of says like how he's writing a couple chapters of this person. I've been with Arya. I've been with this person. I've been with that person. I'm proceeding at this speed, which is, you would think he would be a lot farther along.
He's going to finish.
I think he'll finish. Yeah. Winds of Winter. Definitely.
He'll finish it.
Dream
Just
of Spring.
Everybody keeps saying it. It'll happen.
I pray to God every night.
That's what everyone pray to.
Everyone
God,
should.
Pray to
whoever
gods,
you pray to.
Pray to the old gods.
Pray to your Wiccan beliefs. Stephen Walton. I don't care. Just everybody pray.
Yeah.
Clip it. Scott would rather be with Renly.
Oh God.
He wasn't very happy with Sir Loras. You're right. You're right. Renly is Stannis when he goes out on town. At least in medieval times, the witnesses peeked through slits in the wall instead of standing at the foot of the bed. Yeah. Or standing at the foot of the, yeah, you're absolutely right.
For some reason I thought they were in the room, but I guess not.
No, in this story they were.
But in the medieval
and
times,
she's saying when this really happened in medieval times, they would look through like a little.
It's still weird.
Peephole. Maybe that's why they call it a peephole.
Oh man, it may be.
That might be it because they're peepers. They're freaking pervs. Oh, I never thought of that. Love it. And pray to the old gods and the new. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because the night is dark and George is getting older. All right, we're gonna read the last one.
Okay.
Game of Thrones. This is Danny 4, I believe. I might be wrong. Danny 4, I believe. I'm sorry. I blanking why I don't know that one. I think it's Danny 4. The Khalasar enters Vas Dothrak as they ride up. I gotta go on mute. Here, not mute. All right. Discuss the pros and cons of Dothraki combat skill with Ser Jorah Mormont. Danny discussed this with him. Once they have settled and Danny invites Viserys to sup with her and make a peace offering of new clothes. He becomes angry and grabs her. She hits him hard with a belt and tells him to leave. Okay, so the Khalasar enters Vas Dothrak under the Mother of the Mountains and proceeds along the God's Way, passing under the gigantic horse gate, a pair of rearing bronze stallions whose hooves meet 100 feet up. Danny's wonder why Vas Dothrak needs a gate when it appears to have no walls, no building, and no people. All that Daenerys can see are ancient monuments that the Dothraki have sacked over the centuries in the grass on either side of the God's Way. As she looks back at her brother Viserys, who is now mounted again, Danny thinks back on the events of the long ride east. After the incident on the Dothraki Sea, Viserys had been forced to walk, and the Dothraki had named him Khal Rhaemar, the Sore Foot King. Viserys did not realize that he was being mocked when he accepted a ride in a cart from Khal Drogo, which earned him another name, Khal Ragget, the Cart King. Dany had begged Ser Jorah not to tell Viserys the truth, and only after much pleading had she convinced Drogo to allow Viserys to ride again. Now, as they ride past the broken idols of the fallen cities, Viserys tells Dany that all the Dothraki savages can do is steal things better men have built and killed. Which is all he needs them for. He goes on to say that Dothraki can't speak the language of civilized men, and then states that he is tired of waiting for Drogo to give him his army. So Jorah tells Viserys that Drogo will honor his promise in his own time. Fortunately, few of the Dothraki can understand the common tongue. After Viserys leaves, Ser Jorah explains that the Dothraki are not merchants and do not trade. Despite what Viserys thinks, Khal Drogo considers Dany a gift and will eventually give a gift in return. Dany points out that it is not right to make her brother wait and says Viserys believes that he can sweep the Seven Kingdom with 10,000 Dothraki. Ser Jorah snorts that Viserys could not sweep a stable with 10,000 brooms. Dany asks whether it would be possible for someone stronger than Viserys. Ser Jorah tells her that when he first came to Essos, he saw the Dothraki as half-naked barbarians and believed that a thousand good knights could put 100 times as many Dothraki to flight. Now he is not sure. The Dothraki are better riders. Their bows, wielded from horseback, have a longer range. There are so many of them. Drogo alone commands 40,000 men, the same number that Rhaegar brought to the Battle of the Trident, and only a tenth of Rhaegar's men were knights. When Rhaegar died, many fled the field, such as rabble would not last long against 40,000 Dothraki. However, the Dothraki have no patience for siegecraft, and if the armies of Westeros stayed behind their castle walls, they could hold out forever. Robert Baratheon might be fool enough to give them battle, but the men around him are not. Stannis, Tywin, and Eddard. The way he says the last names leads Dany to ask if Ser Jorah hates these men. Ser Jorah replies that Eddard Stark took everything he loved from him for a few lice-ridden poachers and his precious honor. They arrive at the city, which is both the largest and smallest Dany has ever seen. It sprawls ancient, arrogant, and empty across the plain. The buildings are all different. Ser Jorah explains that they are built by slaves in the fashion they were familiar with. He also explains that the only permanent residents are the Dashkaleen, the widows of all the Khals who have come before, yet Vast Dothrak is large enough to house all the Khals. If they should all return at once, as prophesied. When they near the eastern market and dismount, each rider gives up all his weapons to a waiting slave. For in Vast Dothrak, no man may carry steel or spill blood. The palace of Khal Drogo is a massive festing hall of rough-hewn logs that make a wall 40 feet tall, with a roof of silk surrounded by horse yards and hundreds of eastern houses. Dany is met by Koholo, one of Khal Drogo's blood riders, who informs her that Drogo must ascend the Mother of Mountains that night to sacrifice for his safe return. As she speaks to Kohol, Dany recalls that the Khal's 3 blood riders are his sworn brothers who share everything with him except his horses. Dany is glad that Drogo does not hold to the traditions of sharing her with the blood riders because some of them frighten her. Blood riders are bound to their Khals for life, die when he dies, living only long enough to avenge him if required. Dany finds herself wishing her father was guarded by such men, remembering the stories of the Kingslayer who murdered her father and Sir Barristan Selmy who went over to the usurper. Dany, who is tiring easily as her child grows, is looking forward to a night of rest. She's led to one of the hollow hills as has been prepared for her. She decides to give her brother his gift tonight. She series several sets of clothes that she hopes will help him earn the respect of the Dothraki. She also intends the gift as a way of apologizing for shaming him. Dany orders Dora to invite him to supper and Ira to go to the market to buy something other than horse meat, which Viserys hates. Viserys soon arrives, dragging Dora by the arm, furious that Dany would presume to give him commands. Dany attempted to explain that Dora misspoke, then shows Viserys the clothes she had made for him. Viserys only sneers at the clothes, calling them Dothraki rags. Her brother goes on to ridiculing her for presuming to dress him, and says spitefully that next Dany will want him braiding his hair. Dany declares he has no right to braid because he has not won any victories. Viserys grabs her by the arm, hurting her, and for a moment Dany is scared little girl again. Then she grabs a hold of the first thing she touches, a medallion belt she meant to give Viserys, and swings it with all her might. The belt hits her brother full in the face and leaves a deep cut. Dany tells Viserys to leave and pray that Drogo does not hear of this. Viserys leaves in a fury, telling her that when it comes into his kingdom, she will regret this day. And they leave out that she actually, I think she falls asleep that night, clutching one of her dragon eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go first. What do you think?
I thought this was a really good chapter.
Yep.
It's interesting that we see her try to, I guess, hold out an olive branch to Viserys. She's trying to make him feel welcome.
Yep.
A part of the culture again after they had their last falling out. I don't know if I can't remember if it says it in the summary, but she talks Drogo into allowing him, to not walk behind them all.
Right.
She has them set up this dinner for him, his favorite foods, prepares these nice clothing, and they don't describe it, but it has the dragon imprint on the little tunic.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing everything she can to show him that she still cares. She's her brother. She respects him. And even she describes him as her king.
Right.
And yet he is a complete nutcase.
Yeah, no growth whatsoever.
He's another one who hasn't progressed at all.
At all. I do like how many of the people that we know from Westeros are named in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Barristan, I found that the Kingslayer and all the others.
In her perspective on what they did,
Yeah. Yeah, well, her perspective and also what she has been taught.
Right.
She doesn't know anything but Viserys and Jorah's stories. Mm-hmm. So, and again, you hear about Ned's honor, but this time it's like disdain his honor.
Right.
I found that to be interesting,
Yeah.
The first time not the first time, it's probably the second or third time people talk about Ned's honor as it's not a good thing for him. It's actually a fault. And I always thought that was interesting. Something I picked up on this chapter, rereading it, when they're coming in under the gates and she's looking around at all these ancient monuments and stuff and is told that they have all been stolen and won in victories. Yeah. Viserys is disgusted. He's disgusted. But then I think about it. That's what happened to him. His family was murdered and they took all their monuments, all their castles, and now he's looking at an army that did the same thing to many different cultures. And these are the people he's waiting on.
Right.
Like I can kind of see why he just wants to get it over with so he can get done with them.
Yeah.
I just need to use you guys.
Yeah. I mean, the only credit he gives them is their fighting ability.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that's, yeah. I didn't think about that though. His view of their conquests, but I mean,
right.
You descend from a people who conquered an entire continent.
Right. But in his mind, that was a romanticized version of it.
True.
You hear about Aegon's conquest. I mean, they tell the stories as honor of Aegon, the way he took down Harrenhal in the Field of Fire. He killed hundreds of men.
Right.
With a dragon. That's insane. George does a great job at romanticizing those moments. All the time when you go into the past, it's like a not always a positive thing, but it's a romanticized. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like,
yeah, no, I think it kind of parallels real world
life,
events too.
right?
Like we have the
Everything was better
Americas.
back then.
It's great that it was conquered.
Right. Right.
It's sort of like that.
Right. I mean, you think about our own history and how long, for the longest times, like we beat them Indians, like it's not until recent years where it's like, well, let's talk about that subject,
Right.
So I find that interesting that everybody also, and you do it in your own life. You look back, like high school sucked, but yet I look back at it and it didn't suck. Let me get that wrong. That age sucks for everybody,
right,
in some way.
Yeah.
But when you look back on it, because of all the things you've experienced since, those were the best of times.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Taxes,
I would go back in a heartbeat, just for a visit, but it would be fun, and they're doing that in these books.
Right.
There was a couple other things. So, Danny's worried about how he's going to react and this and that. But
this little girl though,
go.
Why would she, the little handmaiden who she sent to get him?
Practice how to say it. Your brother, any slight, he gets pissed off.
Yeah.
Practice. The girl goes and commands him. I
would have been like, okay, now what are you going to say?
Yeah. Let's do this one more time.
Let's say it together.
Right. Maybe you should bow.
Right. Maybe you should just crawl.
Right. But we find out like what happened after that last chapter where he got roped up and dragged behind, and they've been mocking him. How are these guys ever going to fight for him?
I don't see how it's possible. But he also sees them as they only care about conquering anyway. So
right.
What difference does it
make?
He
sees them as once they're over there, they're his to use. They're really the Khals, and it's a gift from him. He's giving you a gift of your kingdom.
He doesn't see it that way.
No, not at all. And he never understands. But another thing I like to see too is Jorah has become bold with Danny. Yeah. I mean, he is disrespecting his king to the king's sister. And I think he just realizes she needs to hear this. And
right. I got that same impression that he is maybe trying to embolden her as well. If he's comfortable being honest with her about her brother's failings, maybe she will see more clearly and be honest with herself about it.
And doesn't she a little bit?
She does. I mean, she mentions, what if there was someone else?
And do you read that as I did? Like she's asking in a way for herself, like I'm asking for a friend, but it's really for me.
Actually, I think she's talking about her child.
Oh. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. Like we can get over there and conquer everything and secure it for my child, not him.
Oh, no. I understood that. Oh, no. Well, not for Viserys. I got that part.
Right.
I never thought of her saying it's not for her. It's for her kid.
Yeah.
So like if I allow Khal Drogo, like take the kingdom back for us.
Exactly.
For our child. I didn't think of it for our child.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And then once again, he grabs her. He abuses her physically and mentally, and she goes back to that child for a moment and then just says, screw it, and busts him up.
Yeah.
There's no return from that with him. I don't believe.
I don't think so either. And he knew he couldn't do anything. Right. Because there were people right outside the door.
Right. I mean, also maybe he is the coward. He is a coward.
He is a coward. Yeah.
And she finally fought back and he just ran. The next couple chapters are crazy. And we find out some other stuff. What will become of her?
Mm-hmm.
where she'll have to be after the Khal dies. We find out about their blood riders,
Right.
how they are supposed to share everything except for their horses. And that they're supposed to die when he dies.
Yes.
Or only
Which-
only long enough to avenge his death.
An important point.
It's a very important point. I mean, this is an ancient custom that they are the same blood, and that if he dies naturally, they still have to die with him.
Proudly.
That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
They definitely have to avenge him and then kill themselves if he dies in battle.
Yes.
So that was interesting too. I don't know why my audio breaks up, man, when I read. It's the weirdest freaking thing. I read off my phone this time, trying to not use my computer, and it still broke up. So I'm sorry, guys, if that crackled for a while. Also, I saw your other comment, the Time Prophet. That is awesome that you have your own channel. First videos dropping in about now 15 or 14 minutes. If you have a Twitter, please tweet me with your video so I could check it out and retweet it for you. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I hate my freaking microphone. So I don't have a lot more to say about this one. It was more just history, and then the idea that Dany's realizing her brother isn't ever going to retake the kingdom.
Right.
You know,
he's too weak.
Too weak, and she finally stands up for herself. Other than that, there wasn't a lot more in this one. And I was going to put the next chapter, but I feel like the next couple chapters, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people feel that this one and the one before it are setup chapters, even though Ned battles and stuff. But next week we are going to do chapter 37, 38, 39. I'm only sticking to 3 for now because it seems like that's all we usually get through.
Yeah.
It might be Christy back next week. We might have the ladies on. I don't know when Stig will be coming back. Excuse me. But you'll always have me and Jayne, right, Jayne?
Yep.
All right. Any final words on these 3 chapters?
I think they were all excellent chapters. Like we discussed, I think they added depth to the main characters. They gave us a bit more of the culture, the history, context to decisions that these characters are making, and the story. It is foundational to a lot of what comes up, but
yes,
it was also just a lot there to enjoy anyway. These aren't chapters you would skip, for sure.
You can't skip them.
You can't.
I'll give you that too. Smooth Jam California. Viserys is a tragic character. I'll give you that. His whole life, he's been the beggar king. You know, always thinking people are out to kill him, not having anyone. The only person that's still alive in his family is his sister who killed his mom at birth. Like, I can understand why he is messed up the way he is. I can. But man, it's hard to like him. I don't like him. You can't like him. He is a tragic character. I will agree with you on that though. You're right though, Jayne. This is, one thing we didn't restate is that Vastathrak, no man is allowed to have a weapon out and no blood is allowed to be spilled. But in the book, it actually says no freedman's blood is allowed to be spilled. So I guess you can kill like your slaves, but you can't kill like another man in Vastathrak. Right. I found that to be like, damn, George thinks of everything. Like the slaves built the whole thing. And if a guy just wants to kill him, they can kill him and not get in trouble.
Yeah.
Fucked up. Yeah, I'm excited for next week. I don't really have much more to say on this one. The Catelyn chapter, Catelyn's still a bitch. Her sister's nuts.
Ned is naive.
Ned is naive and broken now. I hope he doesn't get a fever and have a dream. And then, and Viserys is no longer he can be the king of Westeros.
He can't.
I mean, what's to say that if, let's just say they allow him to take the army over there, with all 40,000 men. Do you think after conquering a land like that, the Dothraki would just leave?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
That's actually a problem with season 8, but yeah.
Yeah. That's why John had to go to the wall. The Dothraki are still there.
Yeah.
That's what people were saying. Oh God. Even though they all died. I mean, that was only half of them.
Forget that part.
Yeah, it was only half of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate that show.
Oh.
I think we're going to have a bitch fest on Monday. I don't have a topic yet, but I'm really starting to think of the biggest, what are your biggest disappointments and what are the biggest changes?
It's a long list.
It is a long list, so it'll be a good show. But so start thinking about that. What is your biggest disappointments?
All of it.
Yeah. What are your favorite changes? Like
for
the
entire
Ned fight.
Show.
Yeah, the entire series.
Oh, okay. I would have
because like the Ned fight, a lot of people liked how, and like Thomas said, how it was a one-on-one battle, and when Ned got hit by the guard, Jaime reacted honorably.
Right.
I like that change.
I like that. I like that change, and like I mentioned before, Bronn being given more of a role in the story. I like.
Yeah.
That.
So we'll think about something like that, and if we come up with anything else, we'll let you all know. Jayne, please plug your channel.
Oh, you can find me here on YouTube at Jayne Theory, where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, along with some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, as always, Jayne.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And you guys can find us Saturday night at 7 p.m. on Stephen Walton's channel. We will do Rogue Theory. And then after that show, we have a Sporky News dump back on this channel. So it's a good night if you're doing nothing to watch both streams and have some laughs. Maybe we'll talk about Brie a little bit.
Yeah. And get our channels all taken down.
Yeah. She'll whack us. Us, man. So before you all go, if you haven't hit a like, please like. If you want to share and subscribe, leave a comment once this processes. And thank you guys for coming out. And
thank you very much.
And remember, freedom is not free.